This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Where is it? It's coming. Here it is. Oh, can't start the show without that little wiggly music. Hi, everybody. It is a Hide in Your Cave Monday on the After Party Live. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging out. Still talking to Mark about whether that Columbia trip is a good idea. I think he's having some reservations. I think he'll end up going, but we'll see. I don't know. Definitely something to keep looking at up until the day of the trip. It's a thing that I had a friend who went to Mexico, and at the time there was a bunch of kidnappings and travel warnings against going, and she went and had a great time and never saw any trouble. So who's to say, right? Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you to Teacher Lori for all the emails. Calvin Wong, I got your messages as well. Thank you guys for the wonderful stories. Julie always sending messages of support and love. You guys are so good to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who also supports the show in a financial way as well. That key to the success of all of these shows, than this new weird model that I hate but now have become a part of, because that's the way life goes, right? Following the demise of KGO. Thank you to Wes popping in today with another $5, who's always so supportive. Susan D with a recurring PayPal payment. Ricky F, thank you so much for your contribution. Jennifer L, Vivian T, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. You can always find the PayPal information in the About tab and in everyday show description as well. First big story of the day that we have for you. Well, before we do that, let me go to the chat, see what you guys are chit-chatting about. Got a howdy from Tammy and Wes. Yeah, stay at that resort and never leave. Worried about my friend going to Cabo. I think that's where my friend was going as well, and they had fine. The what Kim show? The TNIY Kim show? The Tiny Kim show? Because I'm at Little in the Corner. Yeah, I like it that way better anyway. It's I'm a radio girl. What can I say? TV was never my deal. And now because of YouTube, it's kind of has to be. So that's the way it is. Got my first ballot tracker email picked up by the mail carrier. Mine's already been counted. So yeah, feels good to have those in. The election officials in California are asking people to vote by November 1st because of potential shortages or issues with the U.S. Postal Services, with the U.S. Postal Service saying that, that there might be delays. So it's a good idea to vote a little bit earlier. What is happening to you, Nullifidian? Thank you for being here. We body shaming on squirrels. That leads me to the first story. You've heard of the chunky bear competitions as these bears fatten up for winter in the national parks of Alaska, Denali, or whatever it may be, whatever they've changed the name to now. Well, now apparently we have the chunky squirrel contest as well. It is the Fat Squirrel contest, and I have a picture for you because there's a winner already in the Fat Squirrel contest. Did you know this was going on? I did not. Fat Squirrel Week winner is Chunkosaurus Rex from Dinosaur Valley State Park. Apparently, he's the chunkiest of all the chunk. There you go. I did not know this was a new thing, this whole Fat Squirrel Week, but it is. The rodents from around the state of Texas competed in the Texas Park and Wildlife's inaugural Fat Squirrel Week, and Chunkosaurus Rex takes the top spot. It was inspired by what they do with bears in Alaska. It's Katmai National Park, where they have the Fat Bear Week. And in Texas, they were looking to find the fattest squirrel in the whole state. Chunkosaurus Rex from Dinosaur Valley State Park crowned the first ever winner after they too did a bracket style competition using social media likes as votes. Chunkosaurus Rex's competition was Chunk Norris. Also, they had another squirrel named Nutella and the Texas Tank. So Chunkosaurus Rex beat out all those others, being a fan favorite. He loves camper crumbs and is always looking for more acorns. They say that their contest is aimed at celebrating the native Texas squirrels as they pack on the pounds for winter, and they're gonna do it again next year as well. It's probably not the now that we've got squirrels, Fat Squirrel Week and Fat Bear Week, we're probably gonna keep seeing more and more animals added to the pile as more park services realize more state park services realize, "Oh, maybe we could make some money off of these kind of wacky contests. People seem to enjoy it, might as well," right? There's another animal story I have for you. I love the pictures of dolphins, so beautiful. They're such wonderful creatures, and unfortunately, I wish this story wasn't such a bummer, but dolphins may be getting this Alzheimer's-like disease because of a neurotoxin found in algal blooms, and it affects the central nervous system for these dolphins. Now, we know they're smart. So, so smart. They, the one way researchers know to sound the alarm about environmental hazards is because they are so smart and they can see what's happening to them. The results, they say, are concerning of the tests they've done on dolphins after they were exposed to these algal blooms, because dolphins share coastal waters with humans and face many of the same environmental risks that people face. So if it's bad for the dolphins, it's probably bad for the humans as well. The algae, of course, tiny photosynthetic organisms that live in natural bodies of water, and a bloom takes place when the algae density rapidly increases, and it can kick off some poisonous substances called toxins. And among them, the neurotoxins can impact the body's central nervous system. So there was a study done in the journal, they published it in the journal Communications Biology, showing that dolphins found beached during an algal bloom in the Indian River Lagoon along Florida's Atlantic coast had an alarming amount of a neurotoxin called uh, diaminobutyric acid, 2,4-DAB, and it was in their brain. University of Miami neurotoxicologist, a toxicologist, and study co-author, saying it has a similar chemical structure to a cyanobacterial neurotoxin associated with neurodegeneration. And it's important to note that while cyanobacteria are often called blue-green algae, they aren't actually algae. The harmful algal bloom is a blanket term that includes all different kinds of species. So the dolphins that stranded during that summer bloom had 2,900 times the concentration of that 2,4-DAB than those from non-bloom seasons. And those with a higher concentration of this neurotoxin had more severe changes in their brain chemistry as well, associated the same chemistry associated with early Alzheimer's disease. And that was the unusual buildup of insoluble proteins and alterations in important genes linked to memory, brain health, and Alzheimer's disease risk. So they say the findings were consistent across dolphin strandings for close to a decade, and that the changes were more drastic with each algal bloom season. So the more they're exposed to it, the worse it is, right? Which makes sense. They say, given that dolphins' identity as a sentinel species, there are concerns about human health issues associated with cyanobacterial blooms as well. Maybe more than one path to Alzheimer's, they're saying, but certainly cyanobacterial exposures may be a risk factor as well. Warming climate, nutrient pollution, sewage, all continuing to harmful algal blooms. And so we need to do more research, they say, into the exposure and what happens. Poor dolphins. I don't like to see that. How about this, though? This is kind of more on the good news category. This is UC Irvine Health. They are getting the nation's first all-electric hospital. UCI Health in Irvine opens December 10th. It is a 7-story, 144-bed facility part of a $1.3 billion medical campus, and it'll feature renewable solar park structures, rainwater collection systems, energy efficient equipment, and it will operate without any carbon fuels at all, relying only on the electricity generated on site or procured from sustainable sources. They say it aligns with the University of California's goal of decarbonizing campuses by 2045. So this hospital, all electric hospital, supposed to be very good for the environment, carbon neutral. Yeah, opens December 10th, UCI Health. Can you see this video of this family? I mean, this would kind of creep me out, I have to say. Check this out. These people, well, these creatures, we don't know what they are, go up, trigger the Ring camera, ring the doorbell, and then just kind of stand here. I'll make it bigger. Look at them. They just kind of stand there in the creepiest of ways, pointing at the Ring camera. That would that would freak me out. I have to say. I don't know. Happy Halloween to you too. Yeah, it did freak out the homeowner. As a matter of fact, they called the police because it was super creepy. The Alexandria police in Virginia opened an investigation into the potential attempted burglary plot after these three figures you see here, dressed in creepy Halloween costumes, were recorded by the doorbell cam when they approached the front door. The department issued an appeal for information asking nearby residents to check their security camera footage for any sighting of the suspects. They have now determined that these three people are teenage boys and they were related to the home's residents. So it was a prank by relatives. The teens had been assisted by three adult family members and another child. Okay, that's really creepy. The the police say, for me and my team in this community, it represents a moral failure where consequences could result in deadly consequences. The prank, he said, may have seemed harmless, but it could have led to serious consequences. The home's residents, afraid of a potential burglary or violent crime, had contacted another relative who came to the house with a gun. So this could have been bad. The police say these kind of pranks are not to be taken lightly, that this is a very serious incident. They say they hope the lessons learned, not for this particular family, but also for the entire community during this creepy holiday Halloween season. No charges filed in this. I can imagine it could have gone badly, but I don't know. Would you open fire at three creepy people at the bottom of your walkway? They don't appear to be in your house taking anything. It's all done outside. It is creepy though. I'll give him that. They just stand there. Stand there. It would be very concerning if you saw that on your Ring cam. Okay, go into the chat. What are you saying? What are you guys thinking? I'm hiding in my house on Friday on Halloween with the light off, says Yvonne. Holy water, says Rev P. Okay, that's creepy. Isn't it? Yeah, that's very creepy. Prank gone wrong, says Tammy. Souls of dead Confederate soldiers. Wes says, yeah, in Florida, armed people often get shot during these shenanigans. So weird. Something I wouldn't think of. Ooh, okay, that's the creepy face. Look at that. Susan says, very creepy, and something like this was on the news last week. That particular incident was a robbery. Yeah, in this case, it was just family members playing a prank. Someone's having fun. Yeah. Very creepy. Teenager, says Karen, don't have the best thinking process. Yeah, but they were helped by grown-ups. Sandy says, I live in an apartment building, so I don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters. Nullifidian would not shoot them. This is good news. But I have to say, those are some creepy costumes. Oh, they are checking the door. They are checking the door handle. See, okay, that might be a little too far. Or maybe he was just knocking on the door. I don't know. Mm. and now they're walking around mm, they may have taken it too far. Ricky says my paintball gun is a non-fatal response. Well, mission accomplished in their effort to freak people out, right? Yeah. The next story I have for you is about pain. Whew. A lot of people in pain. There's a new study that shows it's less about the pain and more about how you handle the pain. They say people with chronic pain who stay active have a key advantage, and that advantage is resilience. A new study out of the University of Portsmouth in the United Kingdom found one's ability to cope with pain resilience, plays a bigger role in maintaining physical activity than the amount of pain they experience. The researchers said what they found is that it's not how much pain you're in that determines whether you stay physically active. It's how you think about and respond to that pain. Mm? They said they'd analyzed data from 172 adults with chronic pain to better understand what factors influence the activity levels that they had. They looked at the pain intensity, the number of painful areas, the duration of the pain, the frailty and fear of movement, because that can happen, and you're afraid of falling or what have you. They found resilience was the only constant predictor of higher activity levels. Even after accounting for how severe the pain was, those with higher resilience were more likely to keep moving. In contrast, and we know if you don't use it, you lose it, right? In contrast, the fear of movement did not significantly impact physical activity. So they say the study suggests building psychological resilience could be just as important as pain management for improving long term health. That people with greater resilience can maintain a positive attitude and push through discomfort. And this psychological factor is a better predictor of physical activity than pain intensity itself. And I would have thought this traditionally, treatments for pain have focused on reducing symptoms or addressing fear of movement. Like you don't usually when you pull a muscle in your back or you torque your knee or whatever it is, they say, "I'll give it a rest for a couple of days. Put your leg up, let yourself heal, what have you." Apparently, that's not the way to do it. A significant shift from historically focusing on negative factors like fear of movement to understanding the power of positive psychological resilience in managing chronic pain. So it hurts. Get out there and move anyway. That's the gist. Thought this story was interesting, if only just for this picture. This house is where Shakespeare's daughter once lived. It's called Hall's Croft. It was once the residence of Susanna Shakespeare, and it was nailed, this historic house, by a car that backed up right on into it. They're going to have to repair it now. It's a 17th century home of William Shakespeare's eldest daughter, Susanna, and a car reversed right into the street side wall October 17th. No one was hurt, but this building, Hall's Croft, was already undergoing some conservation work, and now they're going to have to spend more money to make up for the damage. The police say, or the chief executive of the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust says, "We're relieved no one was hurt, but we're deeply saddened to see damage to one of Stratford's most beautiful and historic buildings. Teams responded quickly to stabilize the affected area and are now working closely with conservation experts to determine the repairs required." So look at this wonderful old house, and here's what happened to it. Yeah, it got nailed. Man, car backed up right into it. The wooden timbers that date to the 17th century were cracked due to the impact, and the damage left the interior exposed to the elements. So they had to try to support this two-story home you can see here with some scaffolding. They say now it's in stable condition. It's a grade 1 historic building in Stratford upon Avon. And They say only 2.5% of the country's buildings fit this type of historic listing. It was built in 1613. Susanna lived there with her husband, John Hall, who was a doctor, for about 3 years before moving to New Place. The place is called New Place, following Shakespeare's death in 1616, taking much of the home's original furniture with them. And in the decade after they moved out, Hall's Croft remained vacant. Then it was sold to another family in 1627 who kept the home in their possession for 100 years and made significant changes to the property. They added a grand staircase, an oak extension, a new kitchen, new corridors. More alterations came in the 18th and 19th centuries, including some bay windows, a porch, a chamber ceiling. This place was used as a boarding school in the mid 1800s and later reverted back to a private residence to house writers like George Bernard Shaw. Then around the 20th century, the condition started to deteriorate again. It was on the verge of collapse, so the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust purchased it in 1949, opened it to the public in 1951, and they've been trying to take care of it, but it's a 400-year-old building. They had to put up external beams in the 2010s to hold this home up and fix the failing joints. So it was in some trouble, and now it's even in some more trouble. But how cool is this place? I kind of want to go there and take a tour of what it looks like inside. Amazing. It turns out that HGTV and the number of pixels that we are able to see, really, we can only handle so much. More pixels does not always mean a better screen for the human eye. Every year, we know these tech companies are trying to give us more pixels and better this and better that and higher resolution. The 4K display, which is a screen with a horizontal display of about 4,000 pixels, became available in about 2014. And now you can purchase a TV with double that resolution. But at some point, all the extra pixels become pointless because it doesn't make a difference to our eyeballs. They're doing it with TVs and tablets and computers and smartphones and pixel this and resolution that, right? There's a study that was done and published in the journal Nature Communications where they look at the ability if there's a resolution tipping point. This was done by researchers at the University of Cambridge and with Meta Reality Labs, and they developed this new methodology to assess the capabilities of the human eyeball. And they looked at the Snellen chart. That is reading from a chart of letters to test vision, right? It's the most common eye test that we have. The Snellen chart is over 160 years old. And the test has remained largely unchanged since it was debuted in 1862. But our visual subjects have not. They have changed. People are much more likely to stare at their smartphones, their tablets, their computer screens instead of papers or whatever they were looking at back in the 1800s, the fields, right? So the measurement of the Snellen chart has been accepted for a long time, but no one sat down and measured it for modern displays. Rather than a wall of chart letters, the co-author of this study said, maybe we got to swap out the Snellen chart for an experimental arrangement. So they made this sliding display that let them precisely measure what a human eye sees as it focuses on a screen's patterns. Rather than focus on a screen's pixel specifications, they opted for pixels per degree, PPD, gauging how many individual pixels can cram into a single degree of your field of vision. And they said instead of simply establishing an entire screen's cumulative pixel count, the PPD allows researchers to more accurately learn how a screen can look to an individual from a particular vantage point. Then they asked the volunteers for this study to stare at the display screen with various patterns in shades of gray and in color. They were asked to flag anytime they discerned an image's individual lines as the screens moved closer and farther away, as well as to either side for peripheral vision testing. So, based on a Snellen chart standard, the human eye should identify detail at 60 pixels per degree. Really, though, they say our vision often outperforms those expectations. The team discovered that our eyes sometimes have a higher resolution limit than the Snellen chart would have us believe. Grayscale images seen straight ahead can be seen with an average of 94 ppd, red and green hues 89 ppd. Only along the visible yellow and violet color spectrums did humans see less than the Snellen chart would suggest, with an average of 53. The reason we see better in grayscale is because apparently the human mind isn't optimized for color. Our brain, according to researchers, doesn't have the capacity to sense details in color very well, which is why we saw a big drop off for color images, especially in peripheral vision. Our eyes are essentially sensors that aren't all that great, but our brain processes that data into what it thinks that we should be seeing. So maybe we don't need all those pixels after all. Maybe you could just buy the 720, buy the 1080. You're fine. Don't worry about it. The researchers say they designed a free online calculator that can help everyday shoppers hunt for an ideal screen based on variables like device size, viewing distance, pixel density, and field of view. And they say there might be a limit to visible pixel resolution, but at least you'll be able to spot the next time someone's trying to upsell you a TV. So they have this free online calculator, which I'll post it in the chat just in case you're interested. I know you're sciencey. Here's the link to the calculator. You can check it out at your leisure. All right. Shall we move forward? Yes, I think we shall. Let's take a look at this ancient Egyptian fortress where a large bread oven and fossilized bread dough were revealed. They were cooking bread a long time ago. It almost looks heart-shaped in a way, doesn't it? Yeah, excavations revealed large bread ovens and fossilized dough in ancient Egypt. This is cool. Archaeologists working in the northern regions of Sinai discovered a military fort from ancient Egypt's New Kingdom. This era was 1550 to 1077 BCE. And it was along the Horus Military Road, also known as the Way of Horus, a chain of ancient Egyptian fortifications created during the New Kingdom. They recently discovered this fort, one of the chain's biggest and most important. And it likely served as a rest stop for trade caravans moving into Egypt, but also as a place to get provisions for the Egyptian army when it went on campaigns across the Near East. So it served a couple different functions here. The archaeological excavation unearthed defensive towers, portions of the northern, western, and southern walls, a distinctive New Kingdom wall surrounding a residential area for troops, and pottery shards and vessels, including a handle with the name Thutmose I, a pharaoh from the 18th dynasty. They also found a huge bread oven and fossilized dough, confirming that soldiers lived out their daily lives in this fortress. They said the bread was very much a staple of the Egyptians, and bread and beer specifically. There is some Slightly later texts of in the reign of Ramses II, which talk about provisioning the army, and the bread is mentioned as the key food. So they found it. One of the quotes in the writings said, "His bread and water are upon his shoulder like the load of a donkey, his neck having formed a ridge like that of a donkey, the vertebra of his back and are broken, whilst he drinks of smelly water and halts only to keep watch." That's from a group of writings called "The Hardships of a Soldier's Life." The fortress apparently experiencing a number of restorations and changes. They say it's about 86,100 square feet, which is three times that of any other fortresses discovered in this area. Oh, kind of cool. The fossilized bread dough I thought was kind of cool. This next story comes from Teacher Lori, and it's about this accident that may well mean that we get faster internet. So that's kind of cool. The story is about the frequency combs that split laser light into dozens of colors that then each represent their own optical channel. And that is what allows for data transmission to be super fast. Usually it requires expensive, powerful lasers and amplifiers, but they did a new study detailing how scientists accidentally found a way to achieve the same effect on just a single chip. And the result of this is that we could get better spectrometers, optical clocks, compact quantum devices, LiDAR systems, even AI data centers would be helped by this in moving massive amounts of information more effectively. Just a happy accident. This team of scientists from Columbia University say this just was a fluke, and it may not rewrite our understanding of other things like gravity or medicine, but it could be big for understanding and changing the world of technologies and artificial intelligence. So the study was published earlier this month in the journal Nature Photonics. And the scientists detail ways on how to improve light detection and ranging, LiDAR. And in doing so, they accidentally made this discovery of a chip-sized frequency comb, which is a special kind of light where color bands are lined up next to each other and bright frequencies appear as spikes on a spectrogram, just like teeth on a comb. The technology they developed takes a very powerful laser and turns it into dozens of clean, high-power channels on a chip. It means you can replace racks of individual lasers with one compact device, cutting cost, saving space, opening the door to much faster, more energy-efficient systems. They did this by relying on multi-mode laser diodes, which are used in medical devices much of the time, and also laser cutting tools. And they came up with this technique called locking mechanism to purify noisy light. The method uses silicon photonics to clean up the laser's output so it displays high coherence. And then the chip splits the rarefied laser light into dozens of colors. And because the colors don't interfere with each other, each optical hues its own channel, which allows for the possibility of sending dozens of data streams simultaneously. So, they say that it's not the first time such a device has been created. The idea, called wavelength division multiplexing, is actually what made the internet into what it is today. What is different, though, is that the frequency combs usually require powerful, expensive lasers and amplifiers, but this study shows they can achieve the same trick on just a single chip. If you would like to see more about this, you can find it in popular mechanics. The study is really interesting, very intricate, and it could be why things will change for us coming up. And it's all just this random accident. Oh, look what we can do with one ship. Thanks to Teacher Lori for that story. Much appreciated. Love to get messages from you. It is time for Hide in Your Cave Monday. We're going to New Mexico, and we may have been here before, but we're going back to Carlsbad Caverns. I have some new pictures as well as some other caves in New Mexico. The first cave on the list is Carlsbad Caverns National Park, perhaps the most well-known cave system in New Mexico, located in the Guadalupe Mountains. Inside the caverns is the big room and the large natural limestone chamber, almost 4,000 feet long and 625 feet wide, 255 feet high. That's some tall ceilings. It's the 5th largest cave chamber in North America, the 28th largest in the world. The natural coral-like rock formations are magical, make it seem like you're in some other kind of world. There's also 17 species of bats in here, a large colony of Brazilian free-tailed bats, which demonstrate flights from the caves every evening from spring through autumn. That means there's a lot of bat guano in these caves. But they say this is a really, really cool place to be. And look at the pictures of the cave formations. Really, really interesting. Love this. The next cave is called the Bandelier National Monument. The Bandelier National Monument. And it also is in New Mexico. And I have a picture for you of this. I swear it's coming. But this is the second cave on the list. Here it is. And you can kind of see this is from the inside of the cave looking out. There it is. That's the Bandelier. It's near Los Alamos. It's a 33,677 acre national monument, and it preserves the territory and homes of the ancestral Puebloans. Most of the Pueblo structures date between 1150 and 1600 AD. There's some hiking trails and hunting trails around here, but the coolest part of this, I think, is the cave dwellings. They're inside the Frijoles Canyon. Several pueblos, kivas, rock paintings, and petroglyphs are prevalent here. Some of the dwellings were built on the canyon floor. Others were carved out of volcanic voids in the canyon walls. Super, super cool. The Painted Cave, truly stunning, one of the most incredible of all the caves of New Mexico. It houses this pictograph panel in a lower end of Capulin Canyon. I have to show it to you. If you've never seen it, it's just really spectacular. And I think, honestly, the pictures probably don't do it justice. I mean, if you saw this history and you were standing before it, it might feel like, you were taken back in time. But here's the cave art you can see up here in the crevice. Really cool. It's called the Painted Cave, and it's this pictograph panel in an alcove. It's not easy to get here. It's an 11-mile hike that's really strenuous. So they say it's better to plan this whole thing out over a few days. But super, super incredible. The next one on the list is the El Malpais National Monument. It is called the Land of Fire and Ice. Here's the inside of one of the caves. These are lava tubes, these caves. It's full of cinder cones and spatter cones and lava flows and sandstone bluffs. The wondrous lava tube ice caves. The word Malpais derived from the Spanish word meaning badlands. The monument named this because of the dynamic, barren volcanic field that occupies most of this park's area. What you're looking at is lava tube caves with some interesting geology and hidden ice formations. You've got to get a caving permit. They are free. And if you have the proper equipment, you can explore these underworlds, even downloading a free caving brochure on the National Park Service website. Oh, this one's really cool. It's the Fort Stanton Snowy River cave system. I'm telling you. This is what you think of when you think, oh, gonna go look at some interesting cave formations today. Hey, check this out. I have to show you what it looks like inside of the Fort Stanton Snowy River cave system. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I know, it was worth the wait, right? This is between Capitan and Lincoln in the eastern foothills of the Sierra Blanca. It's a conservation area measuring 25,000 acres, and within it, Fort Stanton Cave. It is the third longest in the entire state of New Mexico. Once explored by soldiers stationed at the fort, inscriptions can be seen inside the cave, making it one of the most intriguing of all the New Mexico caverns. One passage in Fort Stanton Cave is the Snowy River Cave, which earned its name because of the stream bed of stark white calcite. Oh, I'll have to show you a picture of that. It's really cool looking. So it's calcite. Check it out. You can see this woman standing on it. Very interesting. Snowy River Cave is what it's called. That's calcite. I can see why they call it the Snowy River Cave. It's cool. The next one seems like, I don't know, an old treasure hunter's cave. It's called Raw Paulette. So it almost sounds like RuPaul. No, it's Raw Paulette's hand-carved caves. And it's a collection of 14 different man-made caves about an hour north of Santa Fe in Embudo. And it was carved, these caves, carved by an artist. And take a look. I mean, it's really cool looking. Raw Paulette. Kind of romantic, right? And creepy all at once. 67-year-old Paulette created this fantasy world with his hands, carving these caves, tunneling into the soft sandstone. Paulette's caves are some of the best caves in New Mexico, incredible works of art. He said he finds joy in the actual creative process, not necessarily in the end result. And I have to show you some other pictures of these caves because it is not just carving caverns, but check out the different intricate carvings on the walls. It makes you feel like you're in a cave gallery. Look at that. You can see that looks like the ridges of a tree almost in some cases. Some of the caves are accessible, others are not. They're on private land. Some are open to the public. One was listed for sale for more than $1 million at one point. And each of these 14 caves is different in design and composition. The artist, Raw Paulette, said it's different spiritual meaning for him. His life and his work was the subject of the Oscar-nominated documentary entitled Cave Digger. So that's pretty cool. I do have one more cave to show you, and it's called the Amber Cave. And here's a picture of it. Kind of, you can see the inside looking out in this area. This is the Amber Cave. It's a hidden gem with stunning rock formations, a place where history, geology, and adventure come together. You can walk through these ancient passages that have witnessed millions of years of the Earth's changes. The amber-colored walls of the caves tell stories of time long gone by. There's unique mineral deposits creating a natural wonderland. The Amber Cave holds many mysteries. It's a unique adventure for someone ready to go into the depths. There's a stalactite forest hanging from the ceiling, a stalagmite garden rising from the cave floor, glowstone falls resembling frozen waterfalls inside, hidden chambers, multiple hidden chambers in the Amber Cave, the Echo Chamber, known for its incredible acoustics, the Crystal Room, sparkling with countless crystals embedded in the walls, and when the light hits them just right, the room glows. Bat Sanctuary, a natural habitat for bats. This bat chamber is a vital part of the cave's ecosystem. There's a petroglyph gallery, an explorer's cache with a hidden stash of tools and supplies left by people who first ventured into this cave. There's a fossil bed embedded in the cave floor, and there's underground waterways as well. Mirror Lake, an underground lake so clear that it reflects the cave ceiling. The river of time flowing through this cave, carving its path over millennia, giving off these gentle, soothing sounds. The hidden springs, where natural springs bubble up from the cave floor. And unique wildlife in this cave as well, the Amber Cave in New Mexico. There's blind cavefish, cave crickets, glowworms. They're all in there. So this cave, I think, is kind of cool. This is the Amber Cave, full of mystery, said to be one of the best things to do in New Mexico. So there you go. Have we hidden successfully in our cave for today? Are we ready to come out now? I think so. Come out, come out. We'll go back in next Monday. I'm a wizard, but only on the weekend. You can be a wizard whenever you want. Beth Farmer, thank you for the $20 super sticker. I appreciate that very much. Really, really nice. I hadn't heard of that artist before. I thought of RuPaul as well. Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Beth. Really nice of you. Blue Spark says lava beds want to know if you've been in any other caves in the US lately. They're very afraid of the fungus causing bats to die from the white nose syndrome. Oh, yeah, that's really brutal. Thanks for that. Don't go alone inside there. Yeah, really cool. Well, if anything, we learned about some caves we hadn't known about before, right? Yeah, I think so. All right, everybody. It is going to be a great show on the Mark Thompson Show tomorrow. So many good guests, including David K. Johnston. We have an AI specialist who I think the interview is going to be really interesting as well. And Dr. Michael Dania will be in trying to get us all vaccinated before the holidays come and we're at gatherings. So it's trying to keep us all safe. That all tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. And of course, we'll travel tomorrow here on the After Party Live. And if you have any suggestions of where we ought to go, email me, kim@theafterparty.live. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Make it the very best that you can. And I'll meet you right back here tomorrow on YouTube.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.